Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto chapter 18, text 27 and 28. Maybe it's just read the shloka, start the shloka. Itibhavena sambharatur achachara sakrit priyam shushrusyanuragena prashvayena dhamena cha bhakta paramaya rajan manognairvalbhasita manujagraha bhavagya samsmita bhanga vikshanaihi iti das bhavena with the intention. Sa, she, Bharatur, of the husband, Achachara, performed, Asakrit, constantly, Priyam, pleasing activities, Shushrusaya, with service, Anuragena, with love, Prashvayena, with humility, Dhamena, with self-control, Cha, also, Bhaktya, with devotion, Paramaya, great, Rajan, O king, Manognaihi, charming, Valgubhashitaihi, with sweet words, Manaha, his mind, Chagraha, brought under her control, Bhavagya, knowing his nature, Sasmita, with smiling, Abhanga Vikshanaihi, by glancing. Translation. Thinking in this way, with a desire for a son to kill Indra, Diti began constantly acting to satisfy Kashyapa by her pleasing behavior. O king, Diti always carried out Kashyapa's orders very faithfully as he desired. With service, love, humility and control, with words spoken very sweetly to satisfy her husband, and with smiles and glances at him, Diti attracted his mind and brought it under her control. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When a woman wants to endear herself to her husband and make him very faithful, she must try to please him in all respects. When the husband is pleased with his wife, the wife can receive all necessities, ornaments and full satisfaction for her senses. Herein this is indicated by the behavior of Diti. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Vidaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinami Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Prachaya Nirvishesha Shriyavari Pashkati. Thinking in this way, with a desire for a son to kill Indra, Diti began constantly acting to satisfy Kashyapa by her pleasing behavior. O king, Diti always carried out Kashyapa's orders very faithfully as he desired, with service, love, humility and control, with words spoken very sweetly to satisfy her husband, and with smiles and glances at him, Diti attracted his mind and brought it under her control. So here we have a sample of a female strategy. As our previous GBs used to say, ladies can be very devotional, very serving, very pleasing, as long as it serves their purposes. Therefore, Chanyaka Pandit is giving a very clear instructions. Never believe what a woman tells you. Don't. Very simple. We are not the anti-woman movement. We are not even the anti-body movement. We are actually a movement which is carried by knowledge. And knowledge means to define the ways, things do act. There are certain rules, there are certain even predictable rules, very clearly designed And there is a certain action which will be taken one way or another. Like if somebody, you know this test when somebody punches with a gummy hammer your knee in a certain point and the leg goes like this. There's a response from the nerve. You cannot avoid it. You cannot say, no, I will not kick with my leg. You will. When a certain point is pushed, you will. There's a reaction released. So the nature of a woman is like that. Can be very motherly, very sweet, very accommodating, but it always has an agenda on its own. Always. And those Krishna conscious women who we do highly respect are those who know that. They will tell you it themselves. It's like a snake informing you, hey, I am poisonous. You know, it's a very nice snake. You know, it's a very introspective snake, very Krishna conscious snake. It will say, you do like this with the hand, I will strike you with my poison. That's nice. It's good to know. Thank you very much for the information. Because most of the men have no idea. So that mechanism, male-female, is very predictable. You know, of course we have the blessing to live in Kali Yuga where women are arrogant, selfish, very openly selfish, you know, cruel, and herewith highly unattractive. There's no shyness, there's no humility. It's actually great for brahmachari. You know, it's wonderful to live in celibacy. You know, because that period you spend with a woman which is pleasing, she's very nice, very cute. It's only that period she wants to come you around. Once she has you coming around, then, as Prabhupada writes in one letter about a wife, that means a regulated circumstance order. Prabhupada writes, be always aware, wife can be two things, and she is two things, friend and a witch. That's simple. So you get a friendly witch. The question is, what will come out? There is also a part of the man department to be played, so you don't allow that witch to come out too much. There's a rules for everybody. It's not like the man can do any damn thing he wants and then... No. It's a game. Game means it's actually a theatre, it's theatrical because it's not us. The soul is not man, the soul is not a woman. The soul has nothing to do with this actually. But being once trapped in this body, this mechanism comes into action. And we will be exposed to it one way or another. So here we have a strategy of a woman, love, humility, and, you know, with words spoken very sweetly. Smiles and glances at him. You know, yeah. As women have the power, with one glance, they can enter your heart. Just like that. Men are not so subtle. They don't glance, they stare, you know. I want sex now. You know, women, they look, what? Sex? Never. How could you dare? Just to create attention. Srila Prabhupada watched two flies on his table in Mayapur, in India. Male and female fly. And the female fly was and the male fly was always following the female. And the female always was sitting there and the male came close. Hey, she lets me come in. Very nice. And the female was going, but just far enough to keep the tension going. And sit down like nothing happened. And the male was again following. And this was going on and on and on. It's called a hard to catch game. Just to make him more attached, to make him more intense, increase and fan the desire. I don't know what the happy end or not happy end was, if they had sex or not. But Prabhupada looked at it and he looked at his servant and he said, it's the same thing over and over again. Wherever you look into the nature, there's you know, all the time. They never give up. To the death they don't give up. Pensioners are chasing pensioner ladies. I can tell you stories, but I don't. I have a practical experience of this. My father gives me reports. He lives in a house full of pensioners. What they can do to each other. This man competing for a woman, you know, she's 82, and one man is 86, another one is 90, and they compete until they get heart attack and then the ambulance comes or something like this. You know, it's completely incompatible with the situation they are in. But the desire in the mind, manifested in the mind, it never stops. It never stops. So these are the mechanisms described here in Srimad Bhagavatam we should be aware of. And like in Grihastha, Brahmacharya is simple. You don't have to glances, thank you very much. Sweet smiles, forget it. You know, it's very simple life. But once we enter the association of a woman in the Grihastha ashrama, then we should be actually aware that this is what's going to happen. It's very sweet in the beginning, and very quickly, very bitter at the end. This is the nature of material things. They look very good. People are enthusiastic, they are, you know, excited. It's all wonderful, optimistic, falling in love again. And then the end is very, very bitter. It's cries, it's separation, it's despair, frustrated material desires, it's revenge. You know, women can be extremely revengeful. They will strip the man of the money. You know, they will just for fact, because women can forgive actually, they can forgive. But they cannot forgive one thing, when they are not wanted. You know, they have to be wanted, they have to be desired. That's what they strive for, that's what they live on. Actually, we all are like that. We want to be wanted. We don't want to be treated like some spare part of a car you can throw away, it's used up and kicked out. We all want to have some use. It's a very basic element of preaching. Prabhupada exhibited so many times. That's, you know, how people got inspired, because he gave them the impression, you are the right man for Krishna. Yes, now you can do something. No, I cannot do anything, I'm a spaced out hippie. Krishna can help you. Don't you think that God can help you? You know, yes, yes, yes. I have to prove to Krishna, yes, I can do that, yes, yes, yes. And then people start to do things they could never imagine they could do. Because Krishna can empower you. There is a way to empower and there is a way to be stupidified. The process can be reversed. Krishna can give power and Krishna also take the power out, including the brain, including the intelligence, and there is hardly anything left. It's scary sometimes to see the reverse direction, you know. Yeah. Krishna can just boost. And that happens very often by the increasement of lust. Lust, it's a mechanism which burns down the brain. You know, there's no lusty intelligent people. There's only lusty stupid people. The lust, the brain goes out. Intelligence, finished. You know, brain, finished. It's just the senses acting. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get it. Let's enjoy it. No. Bhagavatam, sex life is described like a tornado. It just comes, you know, picks you up and then you get into the whirlpool. It's very refreshing. So much wind here. Then it picks you up and throws you out somewhere. You land in a location you never went before. You don't know what happened here. Hey, few minutes sex life, your whole life can change. Suddenly you have a child, suddenly you have to get a job, suddenly you have to work, suddenly you have to take care, suddenly you are, the whole thing changes from one day to another. So this movement is meant to give people brain to act preventively, not after it happened. We all come here to Krishna consciousness usually after it happened. You know, help! You know, help! You know, it happened. Well, how did it happen? You know, because we didn't know. So, Prabhupada says failure is a pillar of success. So we should at least learn from our mistakes. There are two kinds of learning. By hearing, that's the first class of learning. And by experience, that's the second class learning. But the major thing is that actually we learn. That's the most important part. And then there is the third class of people, they never learn one thing. They simply don't. They just go boom, and they do the same thing again. They go oh, and again boom. They have even a philosophy around that. You may meet a man on a, who's hitting his head against the wall all the time. You think, why? Why is he doing this? Boom, boom. And you ask him, why are you hitting your head against the wall all the time? Well, because when I stop for a few minutes, it feels so good. That's a really professional idiot. Yeah. It's genius sometimes how idiotic people can be. Just hitting the head against the wall feels so good. So actually pleasure in the material world can be defined only as a momentary absence or not absence, it's actually minimized pain. Then you feel, oh, I'm so happy, I'm so glad. I don't feel the pain anymore. Otherwise, Adibhutik, Adidevik, Adiatmik, there's these three kinds of miseries having impact on us all the time. Right now we struggle to stay awake, then we eat something, some fire comes into the body, then we struggle to be patient, we run out and fall over somewhere, And after that comes who knows what. Today, just in 24 hours, you will experience so many changes. Happiness, distress, action, inaction. It's going to be cold, warm, sunshine, especially in Denmark, It's sunshine, 1 hour, then raining, another hour. You can learn dualities of life just by coming to Denmark. It's a fantastic country to learn this. Then there's a wind all the time blowing, you don't know why. When does it stop? In normal countries, the wind is blowing sometimes. Here, it sometimes blows all the time. Why? Well, we're sitting on an island somewhere in the ocean, so don't wonder that there's a wind blowing. So, so this all the time. Material energy comes, tortures us with something. Pinching. Material nature has a pinching effect. So, here we can see actually, but one thing we can learn from Didi, that if you want to achieve anything in this world, we are dependent on a superior blessing. And to achieve that superior blessing, we have to one way or another manifest these qualities. Love, humility, words spoken very sweetly. This is all Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Chanting nicely about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, speaking about Krishna, serving. Service, that's the most important part. Service, if one is serving, one is not taking into consideration one's own well-being, but the well-being of the other person. Which is not so easy, because we are all professional, selfish people. Even the biggest altruist, he is looking for the moment whether he will be realized by the public as the biggest altruist. Well, that's also selfish. It's very difficult to find somebody who is actually not thinking in a selfish terms. One way or another. I have to be the most famous, I have to be the most beautiful, I have to be the most knowledgeable, I have to be the most powerful. And actually, if everything is Krishna, at least I will be the most renounced one. I'm very renounced because I don't have anything anymore. Why? Well, because I cannot get it. People preach sometimes renunciation just because they are not able to get it. But as soon as the possibility comes to get it, this is the history of religion. It comes first, the pioneers, and they are idealistic. I was once visiting the chambers of the Christians which were imprisoned in Colosseum, which used to be under the earth, now it's exposed. But because actually it was a wooden floor, so they just took the floor out. But you can see underneath there was this vast area where there was all kinds of chambers where they kept the Christians cooled and chilled, so they can release them during the Sunday feast as being a food for the incoming lions and tigers. That was the Roman entertainment. Let's just come on Sunday feast and see some Christian being eaten. This is how the people of Rome enjoyed on Sunday. So they were sitting there like in a football stadium, and then the door went open and a bunch of Christians was released. And from the other side of the arena came a bunch of tigers and lions and very hungry. So, and it's a good atmosphere for Harinam. I believe that these Christians were chanting with a great devotion. If you look at the chambers, they were actually making signs there inside, and they were making, like fish was a sign for a Christian, because originally the Bible was preached to fishermen. So they had their signs there. I could imagine they were very, very devotional, because they knew in a few minutes I will be eaten by a lion. It's a very interesting information. So so then the surrender came out. So that was the initial days. Christianity was forbidden, it was preached underground, and there was a Christian sect, and they were just killed and tortured and crucified, and they were just so determined to get across the message of Jesus, whatever it was. So, and then it was established, Constantine became the, Christian, it was established religion, and then immediately so much money was there, so many funds, Christians had a whole army for disposal. So it didn't take long, it became simply another mundane institution, politicking, doing all kinds of things, maneuvering, eliminating enemies, so many things. Once I was in Prague, because I come from Prague, so they have a museum of jewelry. If you have a wife, you have to go to a museum with jewelry. So I had to take my wife to a museum of jewelry. And they had a whole cupboard there. Very fancy rings of the bishops, because Prague was the headquarters of Catholic Church before Vatican came into the picture. So, so there was a whole cupboard full of these rings and fancy, very, very artistic. Because art, music, initially was just in the service of the church. It was all organized by the church, because they were the only one who actually knew even how to read. The rest was illiterate. And they were kind of monopolizing the whole thing and controlling it. So they had a cupboard full of these huge rings. And actually I was not admiring so much the artwork of the diamonds and of the rubies and of these precious stones being fitted into the rings. I just was amazed. I never saw such a big rings with such a diameter. So I was thinking, my God, if that ring was so big, how big must have been the finger? And how big must have been that body? They were all fat like hell, all the bishops. They must have been huge, because the finger was double the size of this. So, that's what it ends up with. Simply a mundane, hedonistic institution. And still, as they say, I don't know if it's in Danish, but in Czech they have the saying, our priest, he's preaching water and drinking wine. I don't know if this Danish have such a version of this. But, even my neighboring lady in Czech, old lady, who was still chanting on rosaries, Catholic background. Through the whole communistic day, she was always going to a pilgrimage, she was going to different places in the forests where there's crosses and she could just go and chant there. So, she said, yes, I also thought our priests are not exactly right in the head. Because they always went around, like sannyasis do, and they were just more or less extracting, not money so much, but food from the villages. The priest came and the villagers, yes, please sit down, and they were feeding him and this. But they have their fasting days too. So when the local priest came into the kitchen and they fed him some nice meat, she was wondering, they have actually meat fasting days. So he demanded sausages. And she was like, but today's the fasting day, we don't eat as Christians meat today. And he was going, well, my dear lady, it's not sin, we have to be very careful. It can be a great sin what comes out of the mouth, but it's never a sin what goes into the mouth. That was his mantra. So there were all kinds of sutras and mantras, they had, just to get to the sausage, just to get to the girl, just to do this and just to do that, and of course people lose faith. That's how atheism comes about. Atheism is nothing else. It's actually ignorance about God and frustration with those who should represent God. This is automatically coming. People think, what is this? Look at these people. At least I'm an honest sense enjoyer. These people are hypocrite sense enjoyers. So therefore, acharya means somebody who is teaching by example. So, there is even one of the Goswamis praying, may my devotion to God be so natural, so spontaneous, as the devotion of a young girl to a boy, or to a boy to a girl. It's intense, falling in love like that. So may my spiritual devotion be of this caliber. If we would be so lusty, so attached, and so greedy after Krishna, like materialists after sense gratification, we'll be all pure devotees. This is what you go out. When you go out, this is the battle. Preaching means it's a battle. It's a war. War with illusion. So he wants to enjoy, and we are supposed to explain to him that this is not going to work. It's a dangerous game you are playing there. No wonder they got Jesus Christ crucified. It's the nature of the conditioned soul, sometimes in despair even to approach some religious institution or something spiritual, in an expectation of relief, but then hating you that they get purified when they do that. They hate you. Preachers get hated. What have you done to me? I cannot enjoy so unconsciously anymore. You gave me my conscience back. Conscience is actually the mechanism which is, warning us. Hey, don't do this. I feel so bad, I killed him. I feel really bad. Sometimes people kill somebody, police cannot catch them. But after some years, they anyway go to the police. Because they cannot handle that burden of that conscience. Every day you remember, that's what have I done. Every day. And you cannot get it out of your mind, you cannot get it out of your heart. So finally they think, okay, I will take my punishment. That's relieving. Yeah? Because it's right, action and reaction. So conscience, this is what the society is trying to eliminate. By intoxication, by atheistic propaganda. The pillars of the preaching in society is, there is no life after death, so who cares? Enjoy as much as you can, it's soon over. You have no responsibility, because you're all dying. Then life comes from chemicals. Who is responsible for chemicals? It's accidentally mixed up. So let's enjoy the chemicals. It's like a dream. So let's do it. And then there are various means how to eliminate conscience. Like example, abortion. Like example, pills, anti-baby. It doesn't exist in all languages. But you know how Germans call this, pill for avoiding pregnancy? Anti-baby pill. It's like anti-missile device. It's people from military vocabulary. It's typical German, Has to be eliminated. Anti-baby pill. Yeah. I met devotees from other countries, when they heard that expression, it's going, what? In Scandinavia, by this extremely intellectual and hypocritical thing covering the whole place called Scandinavia. It's called family planning. Sounds great, doesn't it? Sounds like positive. You are planning a family. No, you are planning how to kill the family. It's called family planning. Get advices. A girl comes and, I think I have to get a family, I'm pregnant. No, we can help you with family planning. He is to, make an appointment with the doctor and he will just